What's going on, guys? It's NYPrepper here. It is Friday the 13th, November 13th, 2020, and I wanted to do a video on your bug out knives and your SHTF knives and also your survival knives. All right, so how many bug out knives do you need, or how many knives do you need for SHTF and survival? And I came up with a simple number of 2. Okay, you should always have 2 bug out knives, 2 SHTF knives, and 2 survival knives with you at all times. All right, so what you see here are some of my SHTF knives. All right, on the left I have the Ontario Marine Raider Bowie knife. Okay, you guys have seen me use this in previous videos in the woods, and I've also sharpened this with some Arkansas stones. This could be considered one of my SHTF knives. Here is my Benchmade 119 Arvensis knife. All right, this is also another SHTF knife. Okay, now these two knives, the similarities that they have is that they're both large. Okay, these are large fixed blade knives, and these are my primary SHTF knives. Okay, I'll pick one of these two for SHTF. If it's a full-blown SHTF, I'll go with this just because it's a little bit more of a shorter size. Okay, it's not as massive as the Ontario. All right, this is more of a woods knife for me. All right, but bottom line is your main SHTF knife should be at least, in my opinion, 4 to 6 inches long minimum, and have a full tang construction like this Benchmade here. You can see the tang goes all the way through the grip, and it even has this pommel on the back that you could use for striking or hammering. All right, and it's nice and thick. You see the spine of the blade is nice and thick here, which is important if you're going to be prying things or using this to break things open, or you can use this as a pry bar. Same thing with this Ontario. You can see the spine is very thick. This is a 1/4 inch spine on this blade here, and it's a full tang. It goes into the handle here. But you know, staying on topic with the video, so you should always have 2 knives in your bug out bag, in your survival bag, your whatever SHTF kit. You should always have 2 knives. You should have your primary knife, which should be a large fixed blade knife of 4 to 6 inches, and then you should also have a backup. All right, which is this little guy right here. All right, and I've done a review on this knife before. This is a Benchmade Hidden Canyon. All right, this thing has a 2 3/4 inch blade. All right, it's very small. All right, and I've done many reviews on this knife before, and I have a special sheath for this knife that I have a fire starter holder for a ferro rod holder on the side. All right, so I don't have that with me here right now, and I didn't feel like looking for it, but I have another sheath that has a little holder for a ferro rod, a mini ferro rod. And so this is my backup knife, okay? This Benchmade Hidden Canyon, this is my backup knife, and you should always have a backup knife in your bug out bag or in your survival kit, all right? Because if, let's say, for example, your main blade, all right, like this one right here, let's say something happens to this blade. Let's say I break it. You know, let's say I'm aggressively trying to pop open a door with this thing, and I'm wedging it into the door, and I'm trying to pry the door open, or you know, whatever I'm doing. Let's say I'm batoning some wood with this, or you know, I may break the blade, or let's say I could even lose the knife altogether. You know, let's say I lose the knife, I drop it from my hands while I'm doing something and I can't find it. You know, whatever happens, all right, if your primary knife gets compromised or you lose it, you want to have some kind of backup blade, all right? Because if you lose your primary blade, you're going to be out of luck. You're going to be in a bad situation, whether it's SHTF, the apocalypse, a survival situation, if you're out in the wilderness, okay, your knife is a critical tool for self-defense, for fire starting, for shelter building, for processing wood, for processing game. It's an absolutely critical tool, and if you lose your primary knife, you're going to be in trouble. So you should always have a backup knife, okay? And that's what I have here. I have this little fixed blade knife here. It's a full tang knife. It has a pretty thick spine on it, as you can see. It's high quality, and it's razor sharp. And again, this is the Benchmade Hidden Canyon knife. I've done reviews on this before, but bottom line is you don't have to pick this knife as a backup knife. I'm just giving you an example. All right, but your backup knife should be at least, 2 or 3 inches long. The blade should be 2 or 3 inches long. And I personally prefer a fixed blade for my backup knife. I don't like folders. I know a lot of guys will carry a folding knife for their backup knife, but a folding knife is pretty much useless for survival and for any kind of heavy-duty chores that you may have to do after SHTF. So I prefer to just get a small fixed blade knife like this Hidden Canyon. All right, this one again is overall length is, I think it's like barely 7 inches. Okay, you can see how small it is. All right, and it comes with this sheath here. And again, I have a separate sheath that has a holder for a ferro rod. So if I want to, so this way I have a spare ferro rod. So if I lose my knife and I lose my main ferro rod, which I have here on my sheath, okay, I always have a backup. All right, so you always want to have a backup knife for SHTF, for survival, just because you never know what can happen to your main blade. You may lose it, you may break it, so you don't want to just only carry one knife, okay? You always want to have a backup knife, and my preference is a small fixed blade knife, like this Benchmade Hidden Canyon. All right, this one is nice and small, and it can do a lot of what the big knife can, except it won't chop wood as well, but I could still defend myself with this thing. I can still use this to start a fire and to process tinder, okay? I can still use this as a pry bar if I have to pry things open. I could even baton small pieces of wood with this little knife, so that's why I prefer a mini fixed blade knife over a folding knife, because a folding knife is not as robust and you can't do as much with a folding knife. So my recommendation for a backup knife is a small fixed blade knife. Another option is the Gerber strong arm. I think that one's like over 3.5 inches or so. But bottom line is you always want to have a backup knife. Don't just carry one knife, all right? Always have a small backup knife with you in your bug out bag. Like this little knife right here weighs, I think it's like not even a pound. It's like 3/4 of a pound. It's really, there's no weight to this at all. And to me, it's worth it, all right? It's worth the weight, because if you lose your main knife, you're screwed, So carry a small backup knife in your bug out bag or in your survival kit, your hiking pack, your hunting pack, whatever. Always have a backup knife, all right? So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.